Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Getting back to work on the Cobra in this video. Last video on the car, I wrapped up everything underneath, and this video should be everything up top. It's going to be concentrating on getting the coolant lines all reconnected and rerun and whatnot, get some coolant in it, get some oil in it, and then reinstall the fuel injection system and wiring and all that stuff on top of the intake manifold, and then hopefully fire this thing up. So that being said, gonna get the camera turned around and get back to work on the Cobra because I'm sure you as well as I really want to hear this thing run. Real quick before I get started working on the Cobra, at the end of my videos I tend to mention some items that I have available for sale, and I want to take a quick moment to show you one of such items. These are all available through my Teespring store, and I decided to go ahead and order some items so I could at least show you what is out there. What I'm wearing right now is the Comfort tee that is available in multiple colors, and then there are multiple other items available with this photo on them, as well as some other photos related to the Cobra, Jeep, MR2, and some of the other vehicles or items that I'm interested in. So if you want to check it out, there should be a link to the store in the description of this video, as well as a link to the specific item. I do appreciate you watching, and time to get back to work. All right, so as far as the cooling system goes, the one hose I've already kind of generally or run down in place, just not clamped on. But the other hose I need to replace because when I made it way back, or when I built this car, it was just a little too short and it was rubbing right here on the valve cover. So I need to, I bought a new hose that I need to replace the lower, larger one with. And that way it'll be loose and won't be rubbing on the valve cover. So I need to get that done. And then I also hook up the upper hose, and then it should be time to put some coolant in this thing and then move on. So I'm gonna go ahead and get to work on getting the hoses run and everything hooked back up. And real quick, this is the hose I'm using. It's a Gates, I believe it is, or Daco. Here's the part number, and it's the right diameter. It's got a bend in it here, which I really don't need, but then it's like the right length and diameter for the larger hose on a Ford. So that is what I'm going to use to get this taken care of. So like I said, that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get it cut and installed. All right, as you can see, coolant lines are all redone and hooked back up. All the clamps are tightened. So I can go ahead and start filling up the tank. You can see I've got a lot more length now on the bigger hose. The smaller one's now kind of on the short side, but it isn't hitting the valve cover. It's close, but it's not hitting. So I think I'm okay with it. But yeah, now that one could probably be extended in theory. So we'll see. Down the road, I might want to replace that valve with something a little better. There's one that's like a 4-port valve, which shuts off both the return and the flow through at the same time. And it's electronically controlled versus vacuum, which this setup is for the heater. And that seems to be a better setup. I just want to get this thing back together, so that's a down the road thing. Not high on the list, but at that time maybe I will look into changing that hose. But for now, I'm good with it. I'm gonna go ahead and get the coolant filled up. All right, I got the coolant tank. It's about halfway full. It's probably hard to see, but you can see the level in there. Basically, if you have this tank that I have, like there's a metal shelf, I guess you would call it, halfway in between. I just basically try and get that just covered, and that's pretty much where I leave the level because it allows for some expansion and whatnot. And I'm sure once this thing runs for a little bit, it's going to suck some down and I'll have to top it off, but there should be plenty in the tank for now, and like I said, once it's running, I can top it off. Next on the list is going to be grab oil and put 5 quarts of oil in the engine, so go get that ready to go. All right, and for oil, this is what I'm putting in. I've become kind of partial to this Valvoline Restore and Protect. Seems to be a pretty good full synthetic for the money. Does the job, and they've got the weight I want as far as the 530, and like I said, it seems to be getting a good reputation and doing the job well. So I'm gonna go ahead, grab a funnel, and get this in the engine. All right, put the full 5 quarts in. As I believe with having the remote filter and everything, I think it takes roughly 5.5 to fill this up on the dipstick. But anyway, I had already put some in the filter So I'm probably at like 5.25 now. But anyway, next thing I'm going to do, and this is not something that everybody might do, but this thing is not run in almost a year. It's been a while. And being that I changed the oil pump and everything, I'm going to grab a pre-lube drive shaft that I can put on my drill and then hit the oil pump drive shaft through the hole there and go ahead and get this thing built up as far as oil pressure goes. Like I said, it's been sitting for almost a year. All the pressure was relieved when I changed pumps. The new pump is dry. I want to make sure that there's everything there. All the bearings have some good fresh oil on them when it does come time to start this. So I'm going to go ahead. I do have one that I own because I use it enough on small block Fords. But if you don't have one, you can normally get them from the auto parts store on the rental tool policy. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab it and I'll be right back. All right, and this is what I'm talking about. You can see the part number, OEM tools, and this is what it looks like. And again, you just hook it up to your drill. It's got a drive shaft open at the end here will engage with the oil pump drive shaft, and then this collar here just sits in the distributor hole, so it tries to keep the oil from coming flying out. And then this end you just put in your drill, spin it up, and you can go ahead and try and build up oil pressure and just get everything pre-lubed before firing up the engine. All right, and as you see, drill and collet in place. The distributor does turn counterclockwise, so make sure you have your drill set up that way if you are doing this. And then I'm gonna go ahead, pull the trigger, let it run for a while, and make sure I'm getting good oil pressure built up. I'll check the gauge. These are mechanical gauges I have in this car, so I don't need to have it powered on or anything like that. It will read accordingly. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that taken care of. All right, it's going down now obviously, but you can see I did have some pressure building in there. You will be able to tell, the drill's gonna go pretty easy for a while, and then it'll start to drag once the pump has actually picked up oil and it's starting to do things. So just a little heads up there. I'm gonna go back and run it just a little bit more, do a couple more cycles of it just to make sure there's oil all up in the valve train and the rockers are all pumped up, or the lifters are all pumped up, all that good stuff. I just want to make sure that there is nothing that's really dry when it comes time to start this engine. All right, put the oil cap back on for now. Pretty happy that everything circulated pretty well as far as the oil goes. So next on the list, I've got one wire for the distributor harness that I need to run under the intake manifold, but I do need to grab the distributor first because that's going to be the next thing to install. That needs to go in underneath the turkey pan, so I can't put the throttle body or turkey pan or anything in until I have the distributor all set up. So I'm gonna go grab the distributor, a new seal for the distributor, and all the other parts, and then I can start getting everything reinstalled as far as that goes. All right, so before installing the distributor, I went down and I rotated the crank pulley. You can kind of see the timing marker there. It's hard to see. But for the ProFlow 4, you have to have it set at 12 degrees before top dead center. So that is where I set that at. So now I'm gonna grab the distributor and try and set the number 1 at dead on where the distributor is. Have the rotor at the number 1 plug. So that way it should be pretty close when I have to set the timing again first time I start the engine. So I'm gonna go ahead, grab the distributor and get that ready to go. All right, and real quick, if you do have the ProFlow 4 EFI, the squared off portion there on the distributor versus the rounded, that is where the number 1 spark plug is going to line up when you have the cap, the upper and lower cap installed on this. So that is where I want the rotor to be pointing when I get this thing installed, and that should be roughly the 12 degrees before top dead center that I need it to be set at. So that's my goal, get that put in place. So I'm gonna go ahead, get the distributor put in the engine. All right, there you can see, basically how I'm gonna have the routing of the cap and roughly where that squared off spot needs to be, where the number 1 is. So I went ahead and got it installed, and it's roughly where it needs to be there. I did forget to mention, I did put a new rubber O-ring on it and put some oil on it to go ahead and get it seated in place. So it is now, loosely clamped down. But that is roughly where I need to have the cap at. So now I need to finish running the wiring for the cap and the other EFI stuff back under the air gap manifold, and then get everything hooked up on the back of the engine back there where you can see some of the plugs hanging, so that way the EFI will be ready to go. All right, I got the wiring that needed to go back under the Distributor rerun, run around the back of the engine, and the two connectors hooked back up and the clamp put in place. So everything is done there. Now it is time to grab the distributor, get the wires hooked up to the plugs, and then once that is done, I can go ahead and start installing the turkey pan and throttle body. All right, and as you can see, all of the wires are run along with the cap all put in place. So now I'm gonna go ahead and grab the turkey pan and get that put into place because I need to start running wires and hoses and stuff through that, as well as the mechanical linkage through the individual holes, and make sure everything is lined up right, and then I can grab the throttle bodies. So I'm gonna go grab the turkey pan. All right, well there it is. Everything is reinstalled, including the throttle linkage, made sure everything cleared, went around, did not see any loose connections, everything's tightened down. Vacuum lines and ports and all that stuff are hooked up. So I think I'm gonna just do one more quick check of the oil level, make sure it's good enough, which it should be based on how much I put in there. And then it is gonna be time to turn the key, get the fuel system primed, and see if this thing fires. So let me grab a rag, check the oil, grab the keys, and I will be back. All right, I checked the oil, everything is where it's supposed to be. Got the battery cutoff hooked back up, so let's see if we got a charge. We should. It's been on a charger. All right, I hear fuel system, fuel pressure going up. All right, I'm gonna go walk around, check for leaks real quick, be right back. All right, I actually had to turn the car off and then turn it back on after waiting about 10 seconds just to get the fuel pressure to prime all the way up to where it's supposed to be. Checked it, no leaks. So I'm gonna get back around the other side and try and start. All right, let's see if it starts. It's in neutral, so let's go from there. Just turned it off. You can see, still got water temperature and everything. Oil temperature was just starting to pop up. So yeah, I ran it for a good 10-15 minutes. I set the timing, so that is all done. I went through the timing wizard again with the ProFlow, and yeah, good to go. Once I set the timing, it was running really good. Got plenty of temperature in it. As you can see underneath, no signs of any leaking. Looked around the water pump and all the spots where it used to seep, so far pretty good. Got in the car, tested the clutch, worked good, and also ran it through all 5 gears plus reverse. Everything engaged exactly as it should. So transmission seems to be working right, so that is a huge bonus as well. So I am ecstatic. It's been about a year since this thing has ran, so I am thrilled to hear it come to life again. All right, and that's where I'm gonna end this video. This one was a huge win because the car is back to life. So very, very happy. Have a couple shows in the next few weeks that I wanna take it to. So still need to do the front suspension. I've got the coilover kit sitting right there, waiting to be installed. That should be easier than the rears, because it's not really a retrofit. It's basically taking out the old leaky coilovers that are in the car and swapping in the new ones, whereas the rear I had to replace parts and move things and disassemble the rear end to swap the brakes over and all that fun stuff. So anyway, if you like what you're seeing, you want to follow along, please hit like, please hit subscribe, please hit the notification bell. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. I do review them, I will reply. I do have a second YouTube channel devoted to firearm stuff. If that's something that interests you, please check it out. There is a link in the description of this video. I also have a Rumble channel where I'm posting the same firearm stuff. If you're on Rumble, I'd appreciate it if you follow me there. Link as well in the description of the video. I do have some merch I'm selling. You saw it earlier in the video. You probably see it below the video, things like that. There is a link to my merch store in the description as well. And that being said, thank you very much for watching and have a great day.